who's going to be on. Okay, so regulation of blood sugar, and we know that this is not just important in releasing unwanted weight, but regulation of blood sugar is really important to the heart, to the kidneys, to the liver. Um, Diabetes is really such a killer. And diabesity, you all have heard me talk about that term before, something they talk about, because so much is type 2 diabetes. I mean, my brother, when he had only lost 20 pounds, and that he was at 439 then, he was already outside of the diabetic diagnosis, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, it to me, it even shocked me that he had moved into the pre-diabetic range. And it was simply by changing the things he was eating. And I mean, you don't go from morbidly obese to a normal weight overnight. But if you are regulating that blood sugar, then things work better. And when the blood sugar goes up, everything goes off. And it's not just your food. One of the people that I coach is a Hispanic gentleman from Peru, and he called me the other day, and he's in a whole bunch of family stuff with a custody thing, and he said, I haven't eaten anything wrong, haven't eaten anything today, and my blood sugar's 150. But he was totally stressed. So it's not just as simple as food, but if we work with the foods that we're eating and give our body the foods that help balance our blood sugar, if we exercise, which decreases stress, if we take time to meditate and to pray and sit in silence and bring our body down to this resting stage, it's what we get into. When we do that, our brains get into what they call the theta waves, and that is so good for you. And so, like I said, I spoke with, I don't know if Donna's on here. I spoke with Donna last week because she was kind of concerned because she had shared with me that that her A1C was a little higher. And it was really simple. She was over in London, I believe it was, and she ate bread. And eating bread just for a week or two can be a game changer because, bread is one of those foods that really triggers shooting up your blood sugar. But there are also foods that you can eat that are really good at helping to regulate blood sugar. And number one there is broccoli and Brussels sprouts. And, I know that everybody doesn't love broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I'm very fortunate because they are two of my favorite foods on the planet. And they have a sulfane, which is a chemical in them that's naturally occurs that actually helps reduce blood sugar. So, one of the things might be, and I'm not telling you to eat foods you shouldn't, but say you were doing something special. I mean, most people did not adhere strictly to their normal eating plan on Easter. But say if you were going to do something like macaroni and cheese, a small serving of mac and a large serving of broccoli might help even that out. So I want you to think about, and the wonderful thing about broccoli has so many things because broccoli is full of fiber, and fiber is very filling. And there are some wonderful recipes for Brussels sprouts. They're just great. And also, both of those foods are both anti-inflammatory, and that's extraordinarily important. Now, another food that is great for lowering blood sugars and all are seafoods, and that even includes the shellfish. They're very high in protein, and they're slow to digest. And so when things are slower to digest, then that helps also keep the blood sugar from spiking. High fatty fish like salmon and sardines have been shown to also improve blood sugar regulation. And those are foods that we talk about a lot in Whole30. So eating those fatty fish, 1 to 2 times per week, that is a great way to take care of your blood sugar. On Friday night, Jeff and I did a date night. We went down to a little cafe in Fuquay, a little place called Neil's. It's a Turkish cafe, and they have a wonderful salmon there that is just amazing. And so, you can choose when you go out, because we know when we go out we're not quite as sure what's in the foods and things, but choose foods that we know are helpful with that. Now, when you're looking at a snack, pumpkin and pumpkin seeds are also really good at regulating blood sugar. Even though the pumpkin is high in carbs, it has been found that it has something in it that helps regulate. I wouldn't suggest you eat huge amounts of it, but pumpkin is something, and pumpkin seeds are great. And pumpkin seeds are high in fiber, and if you need a snack, that might be something that would be very helpful. I talk with you all about nuts and nut butters, and research has shown that this is a very effective way to regulate your blood sugar. Now, what you want to know, that a serving of nuts is like a little handful of nuts, so it's not a lot of nuts. And in working with my brother and working with my dad and working, people that I get to see what they're doing, a year and a half ago when my dad's doctor was talking to him about his weight, and I said, get nuts. And, in like 2 days, he had eaten a huge bag of nuts. And I was like, this is not a good serving size. But so what I suggest is you find a little container. And I'll tell you what I give my dad his nuts in now for snacks is, I've got a little sake. It's not like the little sake glasses that you get in a Japanese restaurant. It was a really pretty sake set that I got in Japan when I was over there, and I very rarely use it. They're a little bit larger than that, but it's probably right about between an eighth and a fourth of a cup. And that's what I get his nuts out for him to eat. And he's gotten used to that. So when you're doing the nuts, it's good to do the nuts, just don't overdo it. But if you do daily intake of 2 ounces of nuts, in a study, significantly reduced the flat. Yes. Now I can't hear you.
Have to let people in the group. Someone's trying to get on it, and they saying it's saying that you're in another call.
Oh, and no, because I've not got anybody that says it's going in. Here, let me send you. Let me find the link and send it to you, and then you text it to them, because they must not have the right link.
Okay, because I sent the one that I got in the text message last week, but
okay, hang. Oh, but that was the one for us for Saturday. That wasn't this one. Hang on. Let me go in here and find it, and I will text it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Ned, I just sent it to you. Okay, I've talked to the nut butters are also good. The nut butters that I recommend the most are the almond butter. That is a great oil. The oil in that is great for your heart. Macadamia nut butter is very, very good. So you can use peanut butter, but I will tell you that peanuts are not always good. There are a lot of people that study the gut say that we shouldn't eat peanuts at all. That kind of hurts my heart, because I tell you what, I don't care much for dry roasted peanuts, but I do love boiled peanuts. And I don't have them enough that I think that they cause a huge problem for me. But actually, peanuts and cashews are really not nuts. They are actually classified as beans. And for many people, they're not good. Um, Okra, and okra is one of my very favorite foods. And okra is an excellent source for lowering your blood sugar. It has polysaccharides, flavonoids, and antioxidants. Um, in Turkey, for many years, okra seeds have been used as a natural remedy to treat diabetes because it lowers the blood sugar. And one of my favorite ways to eat okra has become roasting it on the grill when I'm grilling things. And it's beginning to get warm and it gets hot in the kitchen. And we've got a gas grill out back. And I love to grill all summer long. And my husband, that's the only way I can really get him to cook because he does not like cooking in a kitchen at all. But I take the okra and I'll wash it and cut the stem off of it and then put it in there and grill it. And oh my goodness, it is so good. And that is a food that you can add in. Sometimes I will even eat okra, just eat it raw, but I really love it when it's roasted. So if that's something that you are looking to add the vegetables that are good for that, okra will be in season probably in a month and a half. Now,
I have a question.
Yes, Netta.
What is the does it matter how you eat the okra, or as long as it's not fried?
Yeah, it'd be better not for it to be fried. If you like it stewed, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. You do know that when you grill a vegetable or you eat it raw, you're going to get more of it. Raw is the best. Raw, you get the most phytonutrients. However, some people have a hard time digesting raw vegetables. So when I'm working with people and they say, well, I'm eating these raw vegetables, but I just get a stomach ache all the time, I will suggest that they grill them or just cook them lightly if they want, and then see if it's the same issue. Because some people just have a really hard time digesting them that way. You'd rather not fry them, and batter them and all that. If you're going to fry and batter them, then what I'm going to suggest is that you don't do that, but maybe once a month, but batter them with almond flour. Because almond flour is low in carbohydrates. And so that is a good option. Now, fermented foods, kimchi and sauerkraut are two that they pointed out. And they're full of probiotics, minerals, and antioxidants. And eating those two have been found to improve blood sugars and insulin levels. But now you really need to check when you buy it, because most of the time when you buy sauerkraut and you buy kimchi in the store, it's been pasteurized. And if it's been pasteurized, then that kills all the good bugs that will regulate the blood sugar. They are two foods that are very easy to make. If you like hot foods, then kimchi is great. And they did a study of 21 people who had prediabetes, and the only thing they changed in their whole diet was that they ate fermented kimchi for 8 weeks at 1 meal a day. And 33% of the people on this moved out of the pre-diabetic range. And all of the people in 12 weeks showed a reduction in their A1C. So that's some really impressive statistics that you would like to look at. So I love both of those. Kimchi is pretty hot. Now, if you make it yourself, you can regulate that. I like hot foods. And actually, when you eat foods that are spicy and hot, it raises your metabolism, so it will help you release weight more. Now, berries are great. It's been studied that berries improve blood sugar. They're loaded with fiber, vitamins, minerals. A study in 2019 that found that eating 2 cups of raspberries with a high carb meal significantly reduced the post-meal insulin and blood sugar in adults with prediabetes compared to a control group. So how might you put that in practice? Well, say you're going to have a Sunday meal after church and you have some people over, and there's going to be all these, high carb foods that people like. what you might do is get a couple of cups of raspberries that you're going to have as a dessert rather than having the sugary dessert. And along with that, that may benefit with your blood sugar. They've also found that strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries they also help some. Whatever the reason, raspberries seem to be the best. But we've got strawberries that are already coming in a month or two, we're going to have blueberries. So, the summer is just such a great time to work on these things. Also, avocados. And I love avocados. Avocados are really a superfood because the oil that's in them are great for your health. But what else do they do? Well, they have been shown to lower blood pressure, lower blood sugar, and which both increase the risk of many chronic diseases. So there have been all the studies have been shown on them show that they will help regulate your blood sugar. So when I'm doing Whole30 and I'm leaving everything, that's probably when everything else out. That's when I do my most avocado. And you can mash it up and make it into guacamole if you like that. Just don't put any mayonnaise in it. Use just your spices and your lemon juice. I really like to just slice up avocado and shake some salt-free lemon pepper on it. And that is something that I really enjoy. Now, this may be a little bit surprising to you, but citrus fruits, which we consider sweet, may also reduce your blood sugar levels. They are considered a low glycemic fruit. And a lot of people go, well, that's kind of crazy because if your blood sugar is dropping out, they tell you to drink orange juice. So this is going to be pop quiz time. Why, if it's a low glycemic fruit, would they tell you to drink orange juice? Okay.
Is it because so it won't go up so fast?
Well, because when you eat the fruit, you're getting all the fiber. When you drink the orange juice, they have squeezed all the juice out. They have pulled out the sweetest part and there's no fiber. That's why I encourage you, don't drink fruit juice. Fruit juice is not your friend. You shouldn't drink it. But you can eat. If you eat the orange and you're eating, how it's in sections and all, and you're eating all of that, that gives fiber. So when you're eating that, you get to enjoy that sweet. In fact, tonight I've kind of been going pretty steady since about 4:00 this afternoon. And I got a tangerine in here and I opened it up and I was just eating it while I was talking. But see that because it has all those little and when you eat the a grapefruit, don't just pull the fruit out of it, peel it and eat all the sections. So that's, and if you've got kind of a sweet tooth, an orange is a great fruit to have as dessert. Eggs are an exceptionally nutritious food. I made 1.5 dozen deviled eggs on Saturday, and I finished those up today. And what they found is they say that is one of just the very best foods there is to lower blood sugar. There was a study that was done on overweight and obesity and prediabetes, and what they found was that everyone that included in the eggs on a daily basis had a 4.4 reduction in their fasting blood sugar. And Korean adults who ate two or more servings of eggs a day had a 40% lower risk of diabetes when compared to eating eggs. Now, I'm also, one of the things I'm going to bring up, and I may have talked to you all about this before, but sort of a scary statistic that came out about a month ago, I think now, is if you had COVID, it doesn't matter if you had really severe symptoms or you had mild symptoms. It doesn't matter what your weight is. It is not weight dependent. But if you have had COVID-19, you have a 40% greater chance of developing diabetes. So, Obviously what that's telling us is it's not diet dependent. I think probably what happens is COVID-19 causes a horrible, horrible inflammation response in the body. And it must inflame the pancreas way more than we know. But, anytime you're at risk, just like if you've got a family history, you want to be doing all of these things to keep your blood sugar as level as you can, because all you can do is really all you can do. Apples are another great source, and it's been shown that they help reduce blood sugar and protect against diabetes. You want to be sure that you eat the skin of the apple, because that's where a lot of the nutrients are that are there. And that fiber, again, helps slow down. Don't drink apple juice. Apple juice will send your blood sugar right up, but eat an apple instead. So, like I said, it's really exciting. And you know how I talk about the farmers market, because all of these things are going to be coming in, and I love, love, love helping our farmers out. And if you go and help the farmer out and you buy it from the farm, or you buy at the farmers market, where it's the open air market, when you do that, you don't have to pay sales tax. So you're going to be, and the vegetables are cheaper there than these that they had to pay truckers and all this stuff to take them from the airport where they flew in from Lord knows where. I wanted to talk just a minute about ketosis and ketoacidosis, because if you eat the way that I've been talking with you all about, your body is going to regularly go in and out of ketosis. And ketosis is not a bad thing. When you're in ketosis, you're taking in a lower number of carbs. And so when your body needs carbohydrate, it's going to break down fats in the body and convert that into energy. And it doesn't have any problem. Type 1 diabetics get something called ketoacidosis. And it occurs when their insulin levels are really low. So this would be somebody that, and a lot of times type 1 diabetics are actually slender people. And particularly because when they get into ketoacidosis, they start losing weight. That's how a lot of people get diagnosed. And the symptoms of that are they have shortness of breath, they have a fruity smell to their breath, they can get into a lot of nausea and vomiting, and they will tend to have a dry mouth all the time. Now, sometimes type 2 diabetics can convert to type 1. And that happens more today than it used to. And the reason is there's a whole slew of medicines out there that they give to type 2 diabetics that make that pancreas pump out more and more insulin than the body will release. Because the body pumps out insulin anytime you take in anything that has a high glycemic index. And but the body also knows, hey, I've only got so much insulin for a lifetime. And God made it so that it doesn't want to use it all up at once. These medications make that pump out. In fact, it was interesting this weekend, one of the aides that is helping my dad, I was talking about my brother and the fact that he told them that he wasn't going to use the diabetes 2 medicine. And he asked me, he says, look, I haven't used it in 2 weeks. I want you to draw my A1C. And they drew the A1C and he was out of the diabetic range. And she said, oh, you know what? They tried to put me on that. And she said, I got so sick. And she said, then my blood pressure dropped down. So these medications are not without risk. So if you can do it without, then that's what you want to do. It's very, very important. And again, I like to talk to you about what to eat, because the idea in creating this new lifestyle and taking care of your body is not to starve your body. It's not to be hungry. It's about understanding how the food, the chemistry of this works with your body and how you can balance that blood sugar. And when you do that, you're not only lowering your risk for diabetes, you're lowering your risk for Alzheimer's. You're lowering your risk for cancer. you're lowering your risk for all the autoimmune diseases. You know, somebody was asking me the other week, what is a good diet for arthritis? And I said, cut out your sugars and low carbs, eat more keto. And, you know, they were just, she says, well, I asked my doctor and he said there was no diet that had ever been shown to have any effects on arthritis. And that's just simply not true. When you eat foods that are high in sugar, they're highly inflammatory. And all of the autoimmune disorders are about an inflammatory response. And I find that kind of interesting because remember when I talked about you're eating the kimchi and the sauerkraut, because when you're eating those are foods that really fight inflammation. I mean, it's really, those are foods that are really just good at that, and it's because of the pro and prebiotics in them. And interestingly enough, we eat less fermented food in the United States than anywhere else. And, you know, leave it to us, even we can mess up wine because wine is a fermented food and it is a fermented food. And what's interesting is when you ferment foods, you add sugar into them. And then the little bacteria eat the sugar. And when all the sugar is eaten, that's when the food is fermented and it's ready to eat. So the question became, well, why do American wines, why are they not like that? Well, what they have learned is Americans really love sugar and they like their dry wines sweet. And the dry wines aren't sweet. And the reason they're not sweet is because it's eating it all up. So they did a thing the other year and there were only like 2 wines, major wine producers in California that produces most of our wines, that weren't adding in sugar after the fermentation process was done. So, you know, when you buy things, you really, really want to look on the labels and see what they're saying they're doing and do some research with it. We really are what we eat. Like I said, I'm not happy that my brother is going through all these trials and tribulations with that cellulitis. But listening to him when he went in on Friday night and the doctor was there at the Duke doctor was there in Nightdale, and he said, oh my gosh, you have lost more weight since you were in here 2 weeks ago, Hal. And Hal says, oh, I don't think I've lost any more. And they put him on the scales and he was at 417. And he says, he gave me a high five bump. He said, you are doing so great. And see, and the only thing it's taken is changing the way he eats. Now, does he miss some of those foods? Sure he does. But he's doing everything he can. And I'll tell you, the doctor in the hospital said, you know what? If you had not lost the weight you've lost, and if you had not gotten your blood sugar under control, he said, we might already be at a situation where we needed to amputate that leg. I mean, what we eat and what we do with our bodies like this is extremely important, and we've got a choice, and not everybody's going to make that choice, and it's not easy. It's very simple, but it's not easy. But as you make these little habits, and you know, think about that you're feeding yourself and you're balancing your sugar. You're feeding yourself and you're balancing your sugar. And I think if you think of it that way, it won't be nearly as hard. So does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
I got one real quick. Let me find it. I have discovered an app called Foodicate.
Okay.
I guess it's supposed to be like a food education, and it actually has a food finder, and you just I'm experimenting with it. You can put what you want in it, like whether you're trying to lose weight, you're a diabetic, or whatever the case may be, and you scan the label before you purchase it, and it grades it between a A to a F, I guess. And A's and B's are what you should eat, and C's are below is what you should eat.
Oh, I like that. I'll have to check it out. Thanks, Netta, for sharing.
I'll text it to the name of the app to you.
Perfect.
I have a couple of questions. I last for the last 2 weeks, my blood sugar and my high blood pressure have been like to the roof. So she put me on a higher dosage of Trulicity. And since I've been on the higher dosage, my blood sugar has been through the roof even more. Yesterday, now this was maybe like 2 or 3 hours after I had eaten, it was 260. Saturday morning, it was 209. And so and what I'm eating, because I've been Googling, I've been eating, like salad with lettuce in it. Lettuce, lettuce, but like vegetables in it, no cheese, no dress. I'm just I'm trying to get, but everything that I eat has shot it to the roof, even at the 2 hour mark.
Are
It's
you are
still
you
high.
are you under a lot of stress with work or family or anything like that?
Not a lot. Well, maybe so, but not a lot. I thought it kind of had calmed down, but I don't know. It's
Okay, well, I mean, it
everything.
doesn't sound like you're in crisis because I will tell you. The other thing, is there any possibility that you have any kind of infection anywhere in your body? When you are stressed physically
Mm-hmm.
or you are stressed mentally, your blood sugar will often go up. A lot of times, the first thing that I've noticed in people that have an infection is that they'll notice that their blood sugar's up. The Hispanic gentleman that he gets gout,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll call me and he'll say, I don't know what's up. I'm not eating anything, and my calories and my carbs are right, and my
Mm-hmm.
morning sugars are high. So, then I'll always ask him to try to think about if he's having any signs of his gout or if there could be any kind of infection. A lot of times we will get infection in our gums.
Mm-hmm.
We will not realize that we have those.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why dental care is so important for diabetics. But I'm going to tell you something today that works really, really beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And that is take a teaspoon of coconut oil, preferably organic, and put it in
Okay.
your mouth and swish it for 10 to 20 minutes. If you can do it
Mm-hmm.
for 20 minutes, do it, and then spit it out and rinse and spit. And you want to do that every day. It's called oil pulling,
Right.
and it will pull inflammation and infection. In fact, there's studies that have been done that found that it's even better for your gums than flossing. Now, I recommend that you do both because your gum health is so very, very, very important to
Mm-hmm.
your heart and everything else. The other thing is that same Hispanic gentleman, they put him on Trulicity. And every time he goes on Trulicity, it'll be good for him for about a month, and then his blood sugars skyrocket.
Okay.
So I would
Okay.
also encourage you to talk to your provider and say, hey, I know Trulicity is great, but I'm just wondering. And you can say, I talked to this nurse and she was telling about a patient she worked with that couldn't have it. It was throwing theirs up
Mm-hmm.
because he's been on it 2 different times because he got off of it and was doing really good. And they said, well, let's try the Trulicity again because we could probably get you even better. And then he went back
Oh.
on it and they went up again. So those are just some things that might be helpful. But if you notice your blood pressure and that's up, then you want to kind of be looking if there might be something else going on in your body.
Okay. And she said, okay, and today is the first day that I haven't been weak. I was very weak yesterday. I've been weak all through the week. But today's been a pretty good day. Thank God. It's I'm able to sit up all day. I don't have to go and lay down, because I've been laying down all week because I don't have any energy. No energy. And
Have you been tested for COVID or checked for UTI?
she did blood work and urine when I went Wednesday. And I've had COVID before. I don't think I have COVID now, but I've had it before. So I don't know
Well,
if
the,
it's
the other thing, if you had it before, is you might want to tell her, when did you have COVID?
I had it in August.
I would say because there is a kind of inflammation that often gets in the heart that follows having COVID, and
Mm.
it shows up like 6, 9 months later. You might
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what, I've been so weak and everything. Should we maybe check to see if I might have endocarditis, as a follow up to the COVID?
Okay.
I would ask her to check it. You know what,
Okay.
you can't be too careful. And like I said, that's one of the things. In fact, that was one of the first studies, because like I said, I'm not always all about vaccines, but
Right.
they did studies in Europe like in August after the really bad outbreaks in January and February in Europe. And they
Mhm.
found that people, even who had mild cases, the majority of them would get into some kind of endocarditis, and which is why it's kind of, people are so afraid of the vaccine, because there are some people that have gotten it, but it's much milder usually what they see with that. So I would check back with that, because there is something. And you know what, your body can heal itself, and we may never know what's going on, but there's something else going on in your body right now that I don't think anybody really knows what's going on. So you just
Okay.
want to talk with her, and I mean, you're doing the right things, but there's something that's not right.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna, because I called today. She never got back with me, so I'm gonna go in my chart and send her a message, and
Yes,
hopefully she'll respond back.
right.
Hey, Kawana,
Yes.
did they check your A1C?
Yes. It's 9.
Ooh.
9.
Oh, yeah, I would get them to take me off of. Now, there's the other thing to look at is if Trulicity converted you from a type 1 to a type 2 diabetic.
No, I've been a type 2.
Okay, but at some point, all the insulin is out of your pancreas. I mean, if you're type 2 long enough, you can convert to type 1. A 9, that's a really, and if you're eating as clean as you say you're eating, she needs to do something else. There's something else going on.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. And I mean, just last week, and not even trying to, but just last week, I lost 7 pounds last week, because like I said, I've been so weak. When I do eat, but it's just like everything makes me sick. And my which I know, when you eat, your blood sugar goes up, but I mean, it skyrockets. Even in the morning, it's high. And even if I haven't eaten anything, it's high. And it's just, I mean, because I've been checking it, through I'll flip flop. I'll check like in the morning, before a meal, or either I check after a meal. I flip flop. I don't check always after I eat, but I do, like, I'll check like first thing in the morning, and it's just still high. And I really don't eat anything before I go to bed. I've been drinking a lot of water. I've been getting up through the night, using the bathroom, but I've been drinking a lot of water, because I know that's supposed to help it go down, and then too, I'm so thirsty. That's the thing. I had 4 bottles of water yesterday before 12.
You know what? You need to ask. I would ask to get off of that Trulicity, and
Okay.
then you might even ask her, is it possible that you've converted to type 1 diabetes and that you're in ketoacidosis?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
type 1s, I mean, that thirsting all the time and the blood sugar staying up and you're losing a lot of weight like that, you need to get in, and she needs to really work you over. But I would, if it were me, and I'm not telling you to stop the medicine, I would talk with her about pulling me off of that and trying something else, because
Okay.
that's something else is going on. I can't tell you
Okay.
what, but something else is going on.
Okay. Okay. So I'll put those things down, and send that to her in my chart. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
All clear.
All righty, I'll see you all next week. Have a blessed week, all.
You do the same.
All right, bye
You
bye.
too. Bye-bye.